Today's guest is someone whose life and work have touched thousands. Teri Werner is a strategist, author, speaker, coach, and the powerhouse behind Trainwreck to Triumph. Teri, how are you?
Thanks. I'm great.
Hey,
Good to be here.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate
Thanks.
you. It's kind of short notice. We had one fallout, and I'm glad you could be here with us.
Oh, I'm one for the fallout. Okay.
So, hey, I just hadn't had time to get with you
I
because
know.
everybody's been lined up and they're,
This is the show to be on.
sick or
I know.
something's happened or something's come up,
it's the
and I just
season.
keep moving. So it is a season. So
Well, I look forward to it.
awesome. Well, let's get started. So I got a question for you, but I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you started in life and how you got where you are.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you. It's a great opportunity. I'm honored. My story really has God threaded throughout the whole story. You know, if I were a blanket, it would be the threads and the connections of the thread was filled with divine appointments, destiny, intersections with people that made a difference. But I'll tell you that one of the biggest intersections, how I began, I'd always wanted to be an interior designer. I told my mom when I was little I wanted to be an interior designer. I'd had her make me a sack lunch and drop me off at furniture stores to look at chairs and touch fabric and
funny.
all. When I was
That's
14. So I always believe, really pay attention to what your kids do, what they love to do, because there may be destiny speaking to you through that experience. So years later, I went into a direct sales company, like everyone else did when they were in their early 20s. It was a long time ago, and I was in my late 20s.
Right.
And they had a man named Zig Ziglar, and they had another man named Dennis Waitley, Dr. Dennis Waitley. And he would do we used to have, you're too young to know, but I'm old enough to remember, the cassettes that we would put in our car, and the cassettes would go around. That'd be tape.
I had an 8-track. How old do you think I am? I'm
That's
a lot
funny.
older than you think.
It must be. And so I would listen to him, and I just listened to him for the personal development, kept listening. Well, one day he made a statement that opened my heart and changed my mind, and it totally changed the trajectory of my life. I would still be working in an office somewhere. I would still be wondering what I could do with my life. That one voice, that one statement changed my life. It's what I do. I know you don't have to be that ingenious all the time. You can say one thing that makes a difference in a life. So he changed my life. I wrote my vision down, put a plan to it, put a 10-year plan. I was going to be a stay-at-home wife, make brownies, watch daytime shows, and do a business. Some kind of thing is what I wanted to do.
What exactly did he tell you to wind you up?
He said, and I actually was able to speak on stage with him the last time he spoke in public and tell my testimony, which was a great
Zig?
honor. Yeah, it was Zig. But what he said to me in 1978 was, he said on the tape, but I took it to heart. I've seen boys born and girls born. I've never seen a doctor born. I've never seen an attorney born. And then he said, I've never seen an interior designer born. So that tells me somewhere between birth and death is when a real life is started, was really when life gets started. Well, that hit me hard. I'm like, oh my goodness, because everyone said, well, you have to have talent to be an interior designer. You have to do this. Well, I found out I did have a natural talent. It wasn't until I made a plan, found a vision, and did this plan. And in 10 years, I was going to make $2,000 was my goal, to make $2,000 at home just staying at home. And within 8 years, my dad was a minister. I became an interior designer. I did all the interiors for TWA, Trans World Airlines, back when they were in business. We merged our passions between churches and design and created a company that we took public on NASDAQ when I was 37. It was from those early years of what Zig instilled in me. The fire he put in me never ran out.
And I have to tell you, Zig Ziglar, when my sales are down, the first thing I do is pull one of his books.
Right.
And I read about his little redheaded wife and his story and how she got him to buy that first big house of theirs. And about the first 2 chapters, I've already figured out where I'm lost in sales or why my sales went.
It brings
I
that
quit
key.
doing something. Zig Ziglar is probably one of the greatest salespeople I'd ever heard of in my
because he
life.
cared for people.
I'll tell you an interesting thing about him, and I've got to do some digging on this. It's just a couple of days ago. My memory's starting to fade on me. I met a lady here that actually worked for him for years, and her mother was his accountant.
Oh, really?
Yes. And likewise with her, taught her sales, taught her a lot of stuff because she was always around it. So I got
Wow.
and this was just recently. I mean, talking about Zig Ziglar, I didn't realize we'd be talking about Zig today, but I didn't realize Zig Ziglar had done so much for you in life, and that's pretty
Made a
awesome
difference.
story.
Big difference. I went on to meet and to get to know his wife just a little bit, but his two daughters as well.
Oh,
I
wow.
got to know a little bit of them in relationship. I think he's a lesson because there's so many people out there with you do this and you do this and we've got this funnel and we've got this. His funnel was his heart. His funnel was the power of God flowed through his heart and reached out to people, and he loved and he cared and he just ran from his heart. Beautiful brilliance, beautiful bounty, but that's what he did.
It must be nice to be able to have a life that way. I haven't quite got mine that smooth, but it's getting smoother the older I get,
Yeah.
it seems like.
It is.
So you've done a lot of stuff. What's the greatest thing that you've done through your career?
Well, I will say this, to kind of step back a little bit, after, I heard Zig and I went on and became a designer and we took the company public, I saw that people, especially entrepreneurs, had beautiful skills, but they weren't always all the skills they needed. And so I created a program called SOS, Synergies on Success. And it basically is looking at that we all have very strong in synergies. If you're an entrepreneur, you're fairly good in strategies, and most entrepreneurs are really not good at all in structures. So really attracting the people in, right? Attracting the people in your life, or looking for the people in your life that are not you. You're going to be drawn to people that are like you, but find the people who are not. Because, what is the favorite part of an orchestra? To me, it's the contrast, the snare drums. I'm not liking the flute. I'm liking the bang, the drums, the action, In design, what is the most, really, what is the most attractive thing about design to me is the contrast. I don't want everything beige or gray, as you know. I want it contrast. And so really creating a contrast in your team. And so then I went into creating vision. How do people really build success? If you don't have vision and strategy, so I'm a visionary strategist. I coach people around creating vision, connecting and committing to vision, and then the strategies that undergird the vision. If you don't have strategies and you just have vision, you're like going across I-30 bridge across the water. If you're not connected to those two constructs on both sides, you're not a bridge, you're a raft. And you're just floating. You'll get somewhere, you don't really like where you got, and if you don't have vision, you're not going to have an understanding of where you want to go. So those two things together, I started training, coaching, and teaching people to create success that doesn't always mean just money. It means how happy are you with your life? Are your relationships sound? How are you with God? How are you with your world? Do you feel, I don't think there's any such thing as balance, but there is something called harmony. How are you able to be flexible? And that's what I love about working with you, though.
Oh, do tell. Let's hear this story.
Can I talk about that?
This ought to be interesting. So,
okay,
I sold you a house.
Yes.
And we'll just go from there. You bought from the largest builder in America.
Yes, I did.
One of the greatest companies in America.
That's what you said, yes.
Yes. You're not going to back me on that.
No, I do believe it's a good company. I don't have the experience that you have.
I got you.
But that was what was beautiful about working with you, is you were able to really convey your experience with them. I'm walking in cold with a realtor, walking in, talking to you. From the minute I met you, there was something about you that was disarming, truly disarming. And I don't know if it was that you just had this open, big smile, or if you just listened so well, but I felt heard, and I felt a part of me was known by the time I left that day. I've been here many days, as we know. Unfortunately, I'm moving.
We know each other real well now.
Well, unfortunately, you're in the home that's close to mine.
and honestly, it's been a wonderful meeting for me. I mean, getting to know you and do some work with you and learning your history and your story is incredible.
Oh, thank you. You've been great. Absolutely great.
Coaching people. How many people do you think you've coached through the years?
Oh, I don't know, because a lot of my coaching has turned into group coaching.
Group or stage coaching?
Well, When I'm on stage, I'm more training, but I'm walking them through coaching questions for them to go through it. Like from the stage, we can talk about vision. And I literally walk them through connecting with vision. And whatever their vision is, I've done conference calls where I'll have 150 people on the call and they're connecting with their individual vision. Individual visions I've done, worked with corporate, with C-suite on that level. I don't know how many. And I've worked with a lot of people in direct sales or other type of entrepreneurial businesses where I go in or we talk, a group of us. A lot of times it'll start with the leader and they say, well, I need these challenges met with my team, and then we expand it and keep expanding it. The point is the outcomes. If they don't get the outcome, they should get 20 to 400% increase in their revenues. By some of that is vision, some of it's thinking out of the box, which is what you do. You do that very well. When I came to you and said, well, I can't do that house because it's got this and this, I don't like, I was a designer. I gave you the caveat, okay, CYA, I'm a designer, I'm high maintenance, I'm all those things, okay? I know who I am, and that is who I am. And you were so good. We went to the house I liked, and you said, well, what if this could be? You're really a very good coach, because a good coach asks questions. What if this could be the three things you're really looking for, which was a large space, and et cetera. And you were able to help me see past my closure. My closure was, this is not the house for me. The opening was, how could it become your house? And that's a good coach. Coaches use questions. They don't tell people, they use questions.
Well, it's easier to put a person in a house when they know everything they want. All I need somebody to show me or tell me.
And I was so shy about that.
And I can make it happen, or I know how to get things done or show you how to get it done. And I believe that there's a will, there's a way with anything.
Sure.
And with you, we've absolutely found a lot of ways. I mean, it's been
a lot of fun.
It's been a journey, and it's
been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. You were willing to hear me, and you're also willing to give me a little slack. And you know what? This may not be the best day for her to hear this information. Because when you're a coach, you're used to helping others.
Mm-hmm. You're not used to being coached.
Not used to being coached. But I do have a good coach. All coaches have good coaches if they're a good coach. But the other part of it is, I think where we're at in seasons of life make a difference. We're baby boomers. I really think there's been an avoidance of people really learning, professionals learning how to work with baby boomers. I think it's the number one market to go after. I think it's the number one market to look at. But I also think for baby boomers, we're at this place, my husband and I are at this place where the location was important. We want trees around. That's huge. We want to be able to have flexibility. He's in construction, I'm in design. We want to be able to have flexibility. So sometimes I would say to audience, sometimes when you're looking at a home, it's not everything you've had or everything you think you want, but it could be everything you need. And so in the house, we found everything we need. And we like to tear things up anyway, and we're going to tear things up and make this a little bigger and change the finishes. Changing color is one of the easiest things you can do to build the biggest impact. So we're going to make that house exactly like we want. And we'll have the location.
Which is a custom house by the time you get done with it. And the largest builder in America does not do custom homes.
Yes, that's true. We've had those painful conversations.
Well, you're going to find that with most builders.
It's true.
Because we can't afford to build a house with tens of thousands of homes sold and have that many changes going in. Nobody's house would be finished properly or on time. And the only way we can probably sell them as inexpensive as we do and bring the rates in like we do at a 3.99 interest rate is to be able to show you guys, this is what we have, this is what we do. It's even kill with our price. It's even kill. This house, this is what we can do for you. And a lot of people can buy that and make it theirs. You're making yours. And I think that's pretty cool. I mean,
I think it is too.
I'm the same way. I'm in the middle of a remodel right now also. I know you're not in yours yet, but you will be. And
pretty soon.
Remodel's difficult. I mean, I started mine about 60 days ago. I'll be finished on the 11th of this month, thank God, and get moved in. But it's another job upon a job when you do a remodel, and it's harder if you live there.
It's hard. That's
It's-
why we're
it's
not going to
hard.
live there while we do it.
Well,
We've got
and
it sectioned off right.
I'm
yeah.
the same way. I still have my other house, and we won't be there until I'm done. I do not want to deal with contractors in and out of the house once we move in. So
You know what was, and yeah, we're right there with you because we've both been in this business so much, you know, in construction and in design. You don't want to be in the middle of it. You don't need the sheetrock dust on you to know there was sheetrock dust, okay? There was
Right.
sheetrock dust there. One thing I think has helped me a lot, and I've talked to to realtors about this and other people that work with people, because their home is so intrinsic to how you live your life. Your life. This is so much a benchmark of your life.
everything that
everything.
happens to you happens under that roof. And
That's right.
Not everything, but about 80% of it happens under that roof.
And your identity many times is really impacted by how you feel about yourself. Your environment actually, it's a scientific fact that your environment convinces you of your identity. That's a matter of human brain science in humans that we know that people's environment convinces them of who they are.
So explain environment.
Environment is anything you see. Whoops. Well,
You're good. You're good.
anything you see around you. You have an inner environment, and your inner environment changes how you think about yourself as well. And that's a whole kind of coaching conversation.
And there's a lot of people don't think a lot about themselves either.
They don't. Mm-hmm.
So
don't.
it's hard. That's a hard turn to make person not think bad about themselves.
You know, there's a real quick way to do that, though. Glad you brought that
Do
up.
tell.
I didn't know you were, but I'm glad this
Do
is
tell.
unscripted. Is there's something that's in my book, actually, Trainwreck to Triumph. We talk about the inner environment. There's a way that you can shift your inner environment, your feelings about yourself, even depression, everything that connects with you, which can be your health, your emotional health, spiritual health, physical health, emotions, all of that, by shifting just one couple things, one or two. Like you've heard people say, I don't know, I'm having such a tough day. I'm just so overwhelmed, right? Have you heard that?
Yes.
Or
I'm
they
nearly
could
at the end of every day of mine. Daylo tell you that.
really, is you can say, or you could shift that and say, I am so excited about the abundance of the possibilities I'm experiencing. I just can't wait to see the next one. What will happen when you say that out loud, because what you say out loud, you decree over your life. What you say out loud changes your intention because it changes your attention. So say something like that. Well, to avoid, like I'm fearful of love. I am so excited about the next possibility where I can really be present to a time of love in my life. So we talk about avoiding. What are you avoiding? What are you willing to give up? The law of exchange is, I want love. Are you willing to give up fear? Are you willing to give up loneliness? What are you willing to exchange for that next emotion? But realizing the root word of emotion is motion. People get upset because they feel different things on different days. Well, of course, it's your emotions. Motion is the root word of emotion. So one way I control my emotions or manage expectations is to ask myself self-coaching questions. Who am I going to impact today? What am I going to do today that's going to be intrinsic to my life or important to my life? What do I feel inside when someone says something to me that upsets me? I put my hand on my heart and I ask myself out loud sometimes when they're not there, when I hear that, what do I feel in the tone? The one way we're able to communicate empowering statements and statements that impact is by our tone, our pace, and our inflection in our voice.
I agree with that.
Only 8% of your entire communication, if your entire communication was this glass, only, if you cut this glass into an eighth piece, only that much is impacted by the words you say. Most of your communications have nothing to do with the words you say. Only 8% is the words you say. 55% are your gestures, and 38% are your tone, your pace, your inflection. So when someone's angry with you, you can change the entire environment of the conversation that's creating a culture in that relationship. You can shift by lowering your tone, slowing your pace, and putting an inflection on the right words. Instead of, well, why did you do that? Saying, oh, why did you do that? Or how, and not really asking why. Asking open-ended questions.
Blunt, so
yeah, really, me too. I learned this
I
to
hurt
help
feelings
myself.
Probably more than I help feelings.
One thing that helped me with the decision on the house is we've been looking for a long time. And there would always be something we didn't like. And, we're baby boomers. We're at this age where we're saying, do we want to do this time and again? So let's focus on what we want right now. I help people create vision. I went into the house one night when you gave me access. I went into the house, my husband and I sat on the floor in the house where the sofa would be. And it was about 5 o'clock in the evening. I thought, what am I going to see? What am I going to feel? Am I going to feel good about walking in this room? When I walked in the room, do I feel good about being in this space? People don't really buy things for the way people think they do. We buy things because of how we feel about it. So how do I feel about walking in this room? I sat down on that dusty floor and I'm like, what do I feel about, what am I seeing? I'm seeing these beautiful windows, these beautiful trees. 2 different ways I look in that house, I see just covered by trees. That's what I love.
One of the things you like, the big trees and around you and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome.
And the windows. And the fact that I had options. I had to give them myself. When I get in, I have options. And sometimes we don't get options we want. And you know me, I'm picky.
Yes.
But we can create options later.
But picky in a house that's, $100,000 less than your custom guys. Mm-hmm. So it allows you to bring your house even to a higher level than what most customs are. Mm-hmm. And most people don't understand that. They buy this frame and this is what they leave it as. I mean, they don't ever touch it.
They don't look at it.
There's so much you can do. I mean, from
just color
over
can
the
make
fireplace, stone fireplace, mantle over the fireplace, paint in the kitchen, paint in the living room. I mean, there's just little things.
And color's almost free. It's the only thing you can do that's almost free.
It's pretty inexpensive.
It is, yeah. One thing that helped me as a practical tip is I looked at the countertops and that kind of thing, and I thought, what would I prefer to see? Because that's what I'm going to be having coffee with those countertops. I'm going to come down every morning. I'm going to have that coffee with those countertops. I want to make sure I can handle those countertops. I look at them every day. I want to make sure. And I went to ChatGPT, and I sent a picture of the home interior, and I said, make this color, this color, this color, this color. That was when the aha happened, because for people that are not used to visualizing, they can do that. Easy. Or for $39, they can buy one of the custom design, programs, and they can put a picture of their home in, and they can say, I want this to have more copper, I want this to have grays, I want this to have whatever, and they can see it right there in front of them, and then they can make changes. And so, for people that are not used to visualizing and saying, I don't do that, then they have that option. I also always taught my coaching clients when we were talking about what they wanted to create in their income. Well, what would you do with that money? I want a beach home. Great. We would walk them through, we say it walk through, but we're doing it conversationally and say, well, when you get up in the morning and you've created this home, you've made the money, you've bought the home, you've got your deal done. It's done. You did the action to create this that you envision. Say you walk down your stairs and you're walking through the living room into the kitchen. You're getting your cup of coffee or your energy drink or whatever the heck. When you live on a beach, it's almost mandatory that you drink some funky energy drink or something. I don't know. And so I didn't drink one while I was there, that's for sure. So you get your drink, whatever it is in the morning. As you walk through the living room and you look at your kitchen and you look at your living room and you're walking through and you see the drapes flowing, those white gauze drapes flowing in the wind, you have that breeze. You're walking through that area. What are you feeling? Take a deep breath, breathe it in, let it go through your lips. What are you breathing? What are you seeing? How do you feel? And when they got to that place, they would always say 100% of the time, I feel like someone just hugged me. I feel like I've been hugged. And I said, is this the home you want to live with and in? Is this the experience? Because the home just creates an experience. That's what you're looking for. Yes, you want the home to be there, but you're looking for the experience. So that's what I always did as a matter of coaching. So now we're talking about the home we're choosing. I always helped people create the home in their mind that they were choosing in their heart.
Welcome back to the podcast of Wes's World. We're going to get back on track here and get Teri back talking again. I'm sorry we had to cut that short. Had one of the big guys walk in from the corporate office, so thought I better step out and say hi. But anyhow, I wanted to ask you, you got involved, brought a realtor with you, and you teach realtors and have taught quite a few realtors. Supposedly, how many have you taught? Also, what do you think about most realtors? I mean, how do you feel about their sales techniques? How do you feel about a lot of their life and everything else?
I feel that, first of all, most of them really do care about the client. I think where the disconnect comes from is their approach. Can be very canned, is basically how they communicate, and not asking questions that are very appropriate. So I'm a sales coach, I'm a life coach, I'm a business coach, okay? I think that the number one thing people in general, professionally, especially those dealing with sales, and realtors are certainly part of that, is they judge everyone to be the same. That's just human nature. I would do this, so I think you're going to do that. And they don't communicate well, and they don't ask enough questions. No matter the best out there, they don't ask enough questions. I don't know if that's how they're trained, but I would say the number one thing people could do as realtors to change, to really upgrade their business, meaning increase their business, get more referrals, get higher levels of sales. People refer who they like, not who they don't like. Become very likable. And that takes reading your audience. Become very good at reading your audience. There's actually something I teach on the DISC profile, which goes into dominant, influencer, service, and conscientious. I train people how to know what that person is, and that's your behavioral styles, 4 behavioral styles. You have 2 that are major, primary, and 2 that are not major, that are secondary.
High C, low D.
Oh, high C, low D. Okay. I'm a high D, high I. Very low C, which means I'm very low on details. And you're, well, and we're all of it. But the thing is, there's a way for people to know when they see someone walk in the door, they can know within 30 to 60 seconds where that person is on their behavioral scale. That tells you how you can communicate with that person to be heard, followed through with, and how they will respond to you. Communication is not what you say, it's what people hear. People hear differently what you say based on their basic temperament, their basic behavioral style. So, for instance, if I have a high D walk in that door, they're going to be pretty structured in their apparel. They're going to, if it's a woman, very low-key jewelry, they're going to be pretty tailored. They're going to speak in a pretty firm tone. They're not going to want to be told what to do. And they're not going to be they don't want to be communicated in a way that they feel like they're stupid. They don't need extra hand holding. They don't need you to follow them around. How many times can you say that's a wall and that's a drapery? That's obvious, that's a wall and that's a drapery. So other people may think, oh, well, that's nice. She's so personable. D's don't. We don't like it. So the way to really communicate with a D is to ask open-ended questions. They want to know about outcome. They want to know how it can be reached the fastest. They don't want to know all your details. They want to know what's the outcome, when is it going to happen, and how will I know? And that's it, end of story. When you tell too much information, when you tell people things before you ask questions, this is what happens. Scientifically proven. When I make a statement to you, you hear 1 out of every 5 words. When I ask you an open-ended question, it's an open-ended question, begins with who, when, what, when, how. Who, when, what, where, how, okay? When I ask you that question first, before I say one more thing other than hello, thank you for coming in, When I make a statement, I shut you down from that moment on hearing anything but 20% of what I say, of what you say. When I say open with an open-ended question, everything from that point on, whether it's statement or question, the client will hear 4 out of every 5 words. Asking open-ended questions instead of telling people this litany of information that is immaterial to them if they don't want to hear it. It's material to the rep, but if the client doesn't want to hear it, it makes no difference. Now, how do you know how the client wants to hear? You ask them an open-ended statement. How do you know how they want to work together? I would say to someone, it's very important to every realtor. I don't care your personality. I don't care how you like to talk. And people say, that's just me. Immaterial. That's you at lunch. That can't be you in business. Because you in business, you're there to make money. You're there to connect. Number one thing, connecting. Building rapport, building relationship. How do you do that? You ask them a question. I literally, 3 years ago, went into a show home. My husband and I. My husband's kind of quiet.
David is quiet.
David's quiet. He's walking in. He pays attention to everything, though. And I could hear him go, oh, God, this is going the wrong direction. We went in, and the woman said, okay, I'm with someone else. That's the dining room. That's the kitchen. That's this. And she went into 10-minute discussion, which I had nothing to do with, but just stand there. And I had to raise my hand to get her to take a breath, literally a breath of air. I thought the woman's going to fall down.
New builder cells?
A new builder self, yeah.
Wow.
Went into a show home. It was in Heath. And I said, finally, I could not. I thought the woman's going to die right there. I thought surely she's going to turn blue and understand she has not taken a breath for 10 minutes. She said. Of course, some people have probably said that about me too. And I said, I finally raised my hand. And she said, what? Did you want to say something? With that tone. And I said, well, right now I only have 2 things to say. Number 1, I just need to know, will that room facilitate that size dining room table? And 2. And she said, what's that? I said, do you have a Diet Coke? That was it. She said, gave me that look. My husband's going,
God.
oh,
Teri's getting ready to rip her throat out.
No, this is not going well. I said, okay, we literally have had realtors talk to us so much. They said, well, we'll go down the street and show you. We'll take another car. We'll just follow you down. We were in the car going, oh, breathe, because there's so much conversation. So you don't know how people want to work. I would ask a person like me, okay? If you're dealing with anybody like me that's fairly dominant and influencer, so I like fun, I like everybody being happy, but maybe not now. We need to know the information. Then the D takes place, I want to know this. So I would ask a person like me, I know, what can I help? I know you're here looking at a house, and I know you probably have a lot of your own, what you'd like to see. So I'm going to give you some time. Is there if there were one thing you would choose to know about this house, what would that be? When you say one, and they see one, the finger, they hear and they see, because you don't know if they're auditory, kinesthetic, or visual. So if they're visual, you've seen one, okay? Or if they're auditory, they've heard one. Everyone knows the one thing they want in a house. Everybody knows. They may know 10, but they know one. What is the one thing that drives them down to the one thing? Then say, there's a couple ways that I like to work, and I can work with you. But the most important thing is, how would you choose to work? So are you a person that would choose to have a lot of connection, for me to work with you and to walk with you and show you all that I think is good about this home? Or would you prefer really to be on your own and just connect with me when you have a question?
Well, what would you say to one sentence that would help any sales in real estate or on the on-site salespeople?
The question I suggested, and in a perfect world that you could afford, what would you prefer?
I think that everybody should use that first question.
Mm-hmm. I do.
It helps.
I do. And you know who wrote the book on that?
Wes Bishop.
Well, the first person who wrote, okay. The book that sold several million copies was Gary Keller.
Keller Williams.
But I
good
actually,
guy.
it's weird. I was training that for 5 years, and someone said, "You must have read the book," and I had never heard of the book. So it is interesting how information flows. It's interesting. You'll hear someone make a statement, "Oh, vision is important." Suddenly you hear 20 people. The other thing I would say for realtors to really pay attention to, anyone to know, is about the reticular activation system. The base of nerves at the base of your brain, that is a wire of nerves, that is your RAS, reticular activation system. And this is so critical to when realtors anyone comes into an experience where they're working with people, to set yourself up for success. So the reticular activation system is like on your radio. You go to seek the station, and when you hear the jazz you want, you turn it up. Your brain does that. How does your brain know what to do? You tell it. When you say, "Wow, I really would love this kind of house," or "I really would love that red car." Ever seen someone in a red car and you're like, "That is a great car. You know, that car is a great car." You start thinking, "That car, I'd like a red car." What do you see? A million red cars. Everywhere you go, that red car. So what has happened is you have told your reticular activation system, "This is what I want, go find it." Go find it, just like vision. You decide what you choose what you want to live. You say, "Go find it." Then you have the apparatus, the structures, and the strategies to go find it. So if I were a realtor, I would say, before you get out of your car and you go into that building, who, and what does your perfect client represent?
For me, for that realtor to have them pre-qualified before they come in so they know what they're looking for.
Know what they're looking for, or know what they can afford?
Both.
Okay.
One, they haven't even asked them what they're looking for. They ask areas. Some of them. There's a bunch of great realtors in this country. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there are.
I mean, I'm not trying to put a realtor down at all, but there's just some that don't know. They're not trained properly. They go join these brokerages, and there's not a training.
And somebody
program
brings a
to
client,
teach.
and it's a
Yeah.
the one. Yeah.
So they go and chase those people. But to watch a realtor walk in with a client, a lot of them, it's funny. I mean, you got buy sign, buy sign, buy sign. Love the house.
But they have a way it needs to work.
I can put the furniture in here. And a realtor go, "Hand up. I got 10 more to show." You're like, "What?" Okay.
Yeah.
Well, have a good day. I'm done. I mean, what do you say?
So a realtor setting up, hey, here's some criterias. What are the 3 criterias? Boom, boom, boom. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. But what do I need? Sometimes people are so busy looking for that dream, they're not seeing what they need. Does it fulfill their need? Does it meet their need? And also in times of conflict, the number one thing a person can do, anyone can do, and there gets to be conflict sometimes, between agendas and etc. And between husband and wife. You may get in a situation where she loves this and he hates this, and boom, you're at an impasse. The one question anyone can ask that will totally change how people do conflict resolution is, what is the one thing you would prefer? What do you prefer this look like? So if this doesn't work for you, what would you prefer? Because giving people what they want will settle people on what they need. Okay? And so I just say, get in your mind, your right client, what does that look like? Who are you looking for? And not to be so hungry for sales that you forget setting yourself up for success. So asking. I'd meet with my client before I walked him in a home and say, "I'd just like to have a cup of coffee," or whatever it is. And just say, I'd like to have a chance to really see what your vision is for this home, what your capacity is, and what your willingness is. What is your vision? Let's talk about it. Connect them with the vision. Commitment to what they want to buy is not nearly as important as their connection to what they want to buy. We've all been in businesses and sales business, they all talk about, they're not committed. They just weren't committed to the process. They weren't committed in various types of business. Commitment is not nearly as important. It's oversold. You will have the automatic reflex of your whole body and mind will go into commitment when you're connected powerfully. If you're connected powerfully, the commitment will automatically come. You have to have a higher level of connection than you do to commitment. When I say, how committed are you to this? They say a 10 out of 1 to 10, they're a 10. But they've not connected with what it is, they're lying. That may be what they think for a minute, but the emotional has overwhelmed them. I said, well, wait a minute. And they tell me their connection to building that, to having that, to living that is an 8, but their commitment is a 10. If we don't know where they're connected, what are they committed to? We have no idea, and they have no idea. So you get to the place where you spend a lot of time with people because you haven't narrowed down that funnel. That funnel, like for instance, I talk about coffee all the time. You put in a coffee pot, you put the right water, the right carafe, the right electricity. Nothing matters about that cup of coffee but what you put in the filter.
It's true.
And so putting in the filter in that meeting, I want to have a meeting where we can set ourselves up for success because I want to make sure that I'm using your time effectively. I want to honor your desire and your wishes. And I want to see how I can participate at the level you choose me to participate. A realtor, I think, should keep in mind, you participate at the level they choose to. Listen to what they want, how they want it. And you're serving their desire and supporting their desire with your expertise. Because by the time they come to you, they may have been to many. Let's be real.
Normally
I've been to 12 before I got here. Over the last 12 years.
They come walking through my front door, and I'm usually like, so I see you're out shopping for houses. What have you seen you like, and what have you seen you don't like?
The question I was asked about 300 times in the last 10 years when I walked into a house, what brought you to our neighborhood? Well, I'm looking at a house. Oh, okay. Well, what do you want in it? I'm like, you work here, right? But the thing is, what happens is this, I think. Training is telling. So when you train people, it's almost like, the bike and you're putting the air in the tire. Pump, 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 pump. Get them excited. They're excited for a while. Pump, 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 because you haven't asked the right question. What is your vision? When you see yourself living in this house, what do you see? What is your experience? What do you feel when you walk in the door? It's big. That's why colors are so big. There's an emotional response to colors we have no control over. But the thing is to really set your mind up for success. If I stand in front of a room of 100 entrepreneurs, which I've done for years, and I have a flip chart, and I say, let's set up for success. What is the one thing you're looking for that says success to you? I will have 5 people in the room have an answer. They haven't thought that hard about it. They haven't asked the right questions.
I mean,
what would you say?
If you were a licensed realtor, would you ever go out with anybody without a pre-qual and show houses all day long?
See, I'm not a realtor, so I don't know all those ins and outs.
You train realtors, though.
Okay. I don't know if it would be what you would call pre-qual, but I would have had strong connection, asked the questions where I had the right, we call it ETR, earn the right to have that depth of a conversation, and then the paperwork, the pre-qual, whatever you're saying, to meet that criteria. So you're going in ready. You're going in ready.
If they're not ready to go in, I'm not showing them.
I can speak on this. Obviously, I'm not a realtor. I don't deal in real estate anyway.
Are you a cowboy? Because you look like a cowboy.
Georgia cowboy. We won't talk about that.
Yeah.
Not a Texas cowboy yet.
Nope.
You got to be here 10 years before we claim you.
Oh, see, I was in Georgia for 10 years, so
See?
they claimed me.
There you go.
But I've dealt with investors, and there is no official pre-qual system when you're dealing with higher money. There is, like you said, the earn the right, and that is, it's not a statement we use, but it's we call it the find the bullshit. And because there's a lot of guys out there with money that don't have a dollar. There's a lot of them. They're hustlers, or they're whatever you want to call them. But so we'll what a lot of times what I'll do is kind of like what you were sort of mentioning, is asking the questions. What's the reason you want to do this project? What does this project mean to you? Does it have an intrinsic value? And then it'll go down the road of okay, they're inspired, right? Because once they've inspired themselves, because that's what they do, right? Whether they're buying a house a first-time home buyer buying a $200,000 house, or somebody buying $1 million home, or somebody trying to start a business with $10 million in front cash. They will always inspire themselves. You don't have to actually inspire them. I find it quite. It's almost entertaining to watch it, because you can ask them enough questions to get them talking about it, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm so hyped up.
You
I'm ready to go."
uncover it.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?" Then I'm like, "How much money do you have for this? What do you actually have ready to go?" Because obviously we have resources and tools that may help you get there, but those resources and tools require front load capital. What do you have? And then that talks in. That's kind of where I would say the same thing on the pre-qual letter. Like if you're a real estate agent, just finds a new client, you get them inspired to talk about it. Like, hey, what do you need for, like you said, I love starting with needs, because needs immediately control the wants. Because wants can, look, what do you want in a house? I want this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and my budget is $250,000. Well, most of those are gone, but you can start with the needs, and the needs could say, and within the needs, we would like to see, here's the things we like, here's our needs. There'll be a couple of those wants that may fit in those needs, and then the money will line up. So if the money lines up with the needs, with the wants, from there it becomes a lot easier, right?
See, I do it just flip, because I think their inspiration will be the emotion, because people buy an emotion, will take them to it, and then the needs, and then it will flip to the needs.
100%.
Yeah.
The order of the mechanics
Depends on the
will be money, needs,
Right,
wants.
right.
But the order of talking to them
Yeah.
is wants. They're inspired. Okay, now let's bring it down a notch. Okay, what do you really need though? Like I hear you want this color walls and this kind of granite, and you want these kind of windows and this that. But what do you need out of a house right now?
What's the wrapping on? What's the wrapping
Where are you
on it?
living right now? What are you living in? Oh, you want a fourth bedroom, or you want a third bedroom. You want a second story. You want a game room. You want a larger living room. Maybe it's independent living room, not a living room kitchen combo. And then you're like, oh, okay. So those are the needs. We're upgrading from this situation or this position into this spot. Then we start pairing in the wants, because the needs, and I believe that this is human nature, is your needs will always take priority. So your wants are there, and they're an influencer in the back of your mind. You're like, oh, I really wanted it like this, but that house is just perfect, right? It's like that. It's just perfect. It just doesn't have that. Now all of a sudden you can rip out the granite countertop and replace it with something else, because it fit the need. It just didn't fit the wants. The wants can be adjusted. Sometimes needs can be a little harder adjusted, at least in real estate, because it's like, I want a 6-bedroom house. We're in a 3-bedroom house. You ain't fitting 6 bedrooms in here. Your
We count the laundry and under the.
So we switching out the
Under
garage,
the staircase.
See, some of this comes down to, and I agree with you, some of it I think comes down to spending the time to make sure that you know, because
If you don't know what your client needs,
Right.
though,
Right.
I mean, you have no idea what you're going to go out and show them. Let me go show you 20 houses.
Yeah.
Or as a realtor, it's your job to call your client or your client to be,
right?
to ask the hard questions. You have to ask the questions. Do you qualify to buy a house for $400,000? I mean, that's pretty simple. Do you qualify for that?
But see, here's the thing too, and I think this is both all of it is important, is that when you get to know, I don't mean long-term relationship. Don't take me out for a steak. I don't know that you've earned the right for that. What will help you earn the right for the information? Because if people are locked to sharing you information, for instance, they may not be qualified for $400,000, but they may have a rich aunt that just died you don't know about. They may have somebody who's willing to help. And also,
But it also allows me, Terry, to talk to those people, figure out how I can help them. Because if they don't have money, I have places to help them.
Yeah, that's
Right.
why I agree.
I mean, and
you start
that's-
with the wants. You get them inspired with it, and then once they have opened up,
Then they're
you're like,
open to
then
you,
let's
what you
talk
have to
about it.
say.
You always have to get them
Because-
inspired in what they're even doing, because
otherwise they're not
it
interested.
doesn't matter if you're a person that is first time home buyer and you've got
Right.
$5,000 in the bank account looking for an FHA and some prayer. or if
Man, if you can just get them
Or-
talking about their money,
See, that
they-
goes
they have
to
to
the
trust you at
relationship.
that point.
Yeah.
If they're telling you
You
about
have to
the
earn
money,
the right
you
to
know.
know.
Done it.
If someone I first meet and there's something about her that I don't like, she needs to ask me no questions about my money. She needs to ask, we need to
No,
be
I
having
think
a relationship.
Everything is built after the
I'm built-
relationship.
right.
If I'm calling you, I'm going to ask you, hey, I see you're looking for a house. Most of these people buy their leads these
Do you feel
days.
you're able to, yeah. Now, I will say that I do think that there are some people that are very different. I mean, we can't put them all in the box. Like people in baby boomers, I'm not buying that house because it's what I need. I'm buying that house because I can make it what I want. I don't need the certain things I'm getting.
Right.
I want that. But I think getting those people connected to you, because what you don't know, and I think this is a big factor, is I agree with everything we're all saying. It has all the different skims to it. Is that you don't know, this person may be talking to you and may be kind of looking and may not be ready. Okay, so that's a problem, a challenge. But they may have 10 people who are ready. And because you took the time and you got to know them, you're going to have those 10 people before you have them. And that may be very well, we used to have a saying, people are not important for what they know, but who they take you to, for what they do, but who they take you to. People many times, and I just say this from a personal experience point of view, many times when I was going through a difficult time in my life and I would look at homes and I would look at whatever, I would dream. I would just walk through places, trying not to take anyone's time, but just kind of getting my dream back anchored to where I could, that's what I'm looking to go towards. I will tell you, that's how I inspired myself in sales. I'd go look at new homes that I wanted to afford, and I would decide that's the home I'm going to afford, and I would write a business plan to make it happen. And that was now a lot of people don't like to do that because it depresses them. I want it, but I can't have it. That makes me irritated. But with me, it spurred me on. But I think we don't understand that we may very well make so much more from referrals by getting to know where they're at and saying, I don't think you can do this house right now, but I want to be supportive. And how can we move you to that place? Where do you want to start? How can we move you to that place? And what is your willingness? I'll participate at the level you choose to. That's a great phrase to use with whoever it is, people in relationship with you, customers, clients, or whatever, you in your business and what you do in social media. I'm sure that many times people don't want the whole enchilada, but they can
And
do
mind you,
steps.
most of the time, in my business isn't social media. I'm doing that with
Oh, right,
investors
okay.
and whatnot. But like when I'm dealing with high-end investors and whatnot,
Right.
the conversations are no different.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they are a billionaire looking to invest in a film or some kind
Right.
of a business
Uh-huh.
concept, or if it's somebody like I said, $5,000
Right.
and a prayer in a $200,000 house. It's the same exact conversation. The way they interact is the same. The way their knowledge base is different. A billionaire tends to have, an exceptional amount of knowledge in their own sphere.
Sure.
In their finance capabilities. Whereas the lower the income, they actually don't really know. Well, the bank says I pre-qual. The bank says I'll qualify without getting a pre-qualification. And it's really rough, they're not 100% sure. Whereas the big investors, it's a whole different monster. But I do approach it the same exact way. I had a guy that I was literally working on a film concept with, and he wanted to dump like $50 million into a project. Ultimately, we didn't do it. We pushed it off. He was one of those people you have to find out if he actually got the money. He didn't have the money.
Oh,
But
dear.
the conversation I treated exactly the same, whether or not he was real or not. I was going to say this is whether you're you have 100 million, 100 billion, it doesn't matter. And I was like, well, why do you want to do this project? What about this story in particular that you're bringing to us to help you do is inspiring you to do this? And then they start talking about it, they get really passionate, and I'm like, okay, cool, that sounds really cool, it's awesome. You could think of directors like this person or this person would fit this story really well, and they're like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. They make it becomes really fun for them. And in a way, we even did this. There was a movie called out, I think think it was Miranda. It's about the Miranda rights. It's on Hulu now. And we worked with that producer. With the financer. He was the executive producer.
Since you're talking about who you work for,
Yeah.
why don't you tell our audience, everybody that you've, or not everybody, a few of your high-end clients that you worked with and with some of the movie industry.
Okay, so films I've been on would be like Disney's Aladdin, HBO's Watchmen. I've been on episodes of Walking Dead and Vampire Diaries, the originals. All the stuff that goes through Atlanta. I have been in and around it. I have built budgets for 1,000 different films. Those are usually uncredited because their initial build outs of the budgets. They go off and do the thing. I get paid. We all go our own ways.
Any heavy hitter actors or actresses?
I mean, I've hung out with Will Smith. Like, we hung out
Pretty
for.
cool.
Yeah,
Did he slap you?
No. Will's actually super
Will's
cool.
Will's
Dude.
cool.
He's
I've heard good things about
one
him.
of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
I can see
He
that.
actually paused the set that we were shooting on so he can go and shake everybody's hand.
That's
on the
nice.
crew. I've also not going to mention actors I don't like, but there are some I don't mind if they get hit by a train. Like they're just pieces of work. And then big companies I've done like commercial stuff for. When I've produced McDonald's commercials. I have produced what was that car company?
CarMax,
It was
Carvana.
Audi. It was like an Audi commercial or something like that. We had done. I had a lower role in it, and I wasn't directly on the set. I was offset, so I don't even know who the client was. Brassfield and Gorey is a big construction firm in Alabama. That was massive, just reoccurring projects. All kinds of, just tons of people, and
Wow, you've had a great career,
it's an interesting.
and you're so
one.
young.
Yeah, you get in it. You get it when you get in it. It gets you. But yeah, it's cool stuff. Right now, obviously, it's in a tech company. So the same conversation, actually, it's funny that this conversation we're having is that when I was telling you earlier off camera about the Gitxsan Nation up in north of Vancouver in British Columbia, when they were looking at doing this augmented reality and VR job through our company, it's trying to get them to see the value of it, but understand why. And how we ended up doing that was working it backwards of like, what is it that you guys actually need? And then they start talking about it and all the problems that they have in the nation, the oil pipelines and all that stuff. And then we would come in and say, what do you think of this as a solution? You have problems with the youth not connecting. You have problems, with people leaving, going out to the outer world, and then they never come back with their skill sets. And the old ways are dying. What if you could have a solution in which you could bring the world back to you, and it serves a variety of different messages, means of execution, means of influence. And that's what ended up, that's ultimately the conversation that ended up working. And we've had ongoing even conversations now with them where essentially me and my business partner have been acting as kind of like a coach to that specific branch of the First Nation, is help guide them on how to expand it. And we do that through what do you want? And then once you assess that each one of them have like a different want, it's like, okay, can we create a unified goal in which each one of your wants achieve to the bigger goal that you need to do to move the bar one step at a time?
Do you get into the purpose of what they're doing? Like they have these wants, but what does that do for them? What is the purpose of the message?
Because it's politics at that point, the wants become literally, someone in like child welfare.
Right.
They're like, I want to see the youth not fall into drugs. I need them more involved. Okay. We want them more involved. We want them to have they have purpose here at the in the reservation. And then the other one would be like economics. And it would be, let's say, the one that keeps the campground and the longhouses and the one that tourists come to basically pay them for. And they would be like, it would be great to have, more marketing material and event structures and things like that And then the marketing side would be like, it would be great to have somebody to help me.
So
build
that's
a
the
website.
strategy to reach to their
Right,
their
but that's
outcome,
each
right?
of their
Yeah.
like, little goals, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well now.
So they have the benchmarks for the small goals.
Right, and it's like now, okay, you guys as a group need to do this.
Right.
You need to move down this road, but each of you guys are chasing your individual wants, and you're not pairing the wants together. For instance, you want to put on events here for this the campground, the campsites. You want to build this thing out, and you want something for the youth. Why don't you guys start a small film program where you guys fund it? Like a film festival that
Right.
all the local youth go and they just create anything they can, and then you invite the people that go to the campgrounds
Right.
to the theaters to go to the film festival, and you charge admission for it, and that gives the youth a purpose. It gives them a goal, and guess what it does for communications and marketing? Guess what we just did, guys? And now they have all these things that they're doing, and it's like, and I threw that item in. They're like, yeah, we never really thought about that.
So the means to an end. It's kind of like a mutual thing.
And that is the finding there, like you were saying. They all have the wants. The need is the big goal, right? It's the need. And each one has their own needs, but like all together, they all will agree they have these needs, but then they have no execution plan. So
The structure.
the structure behind
To
it,
my
that's-
point about the, yeah.
Exactly.
So let's talk about your book today.
Okay.
We're going to be cutting short on time, so I'm going to spend the next 15-20 minutes. I'll have a fun thing I want to talk about, and then I definitely want to talk about your book.
Okay.
Did you bring a copy with you?
I
'Cause
did
have
not,
got
because
my
I
copy to
actually
read.
gave
I
away my
normally-
last copy. I started to bring my workbook, and I got on a phone call when I walked out the door. I have a graphic of it that's on my website.
That's
if
not
you
gonna
guys
help
could pull
me
it,
read
I
your
know.
book, so I get to know
I am
more
going
about
to
you.
deliver one. I'm going to deliver one to you for sure.
All right, well,
I did end
I got
up.
you in here early. I've been kind of waiting on that book before I asked you. but
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
I figured we'd get through this.
Yeah, we
before.
will. We will.
Tell me about your book. What is it about?
Well, the one thing I don't tell in the book is my story. And the reason I didn't is I don't want people to get off and thinking, comparing stories or anything. What a book is basically is a how-to book that actually tells you how to walk. What are your steps in walking from a time of train wreck? I'd call it train wreck to triumph. A time of trauma. It can be, a veteran situation.
Did you experience trauma or a
yes.
train wreck or what
Yes.
was it?
Well, a couple of them. One of them had to do with business. With my nature was to trust and accept, and I would put my vision and strategies together, and got taken advantage a few times, definitely in big
Been there,
ways.
done that
In
one.
big ways, very costly, a lot of zeros. And then I ended up in a relationship, in a marriage, that I had a tendency at the time not to pay attention to patterns. In my book, you'll see a lot of information about paying attention to patterns. You look at patterns. So it was a very devastating, very short term, thank God, very devastating situation. But there was a lot of trauma connected with it. I would say various levels of abuse. And I don't say his name. It's not my last name now. And I don't try to disparage him because he's, I told him at the final hearing, we had several hearings, for a 6-month marriage. It was a pretty grueling situation. I made this statement. I said, I get to do the one thing that you're not able to do. I get to live without you. And so I feel like people that there's situations going on, maybe it's whatever people have gone through in their childhood that they've acted out in their marriage, that they've acted out in whatever business, whatever you don't get through, you don't get healed from, it's going to show up. It's going to be in your business partnerships, it's going to be in your romantic partnerships and friendships and etc. And so I feel like they go through enough on their own without me saying much about them. So my book was basically, I got to a place of devastation after a few train wrecks and realized that I needed help. And so I reached out.
Do you think you were depressed, PTSD, all the above?
Looking back now, I think a couple things. Number one, I think I made bad choices based on who I wanted people to be and who I believed them to be. And I judged others by I believe I try to act in a very strong level of integrity, and I believe I expected. Sometimes we expect others to be the same, and they're not. I believe now, in looking back, that PTSD did play into it. And that's why my book is very helpful for people experiencing PTS or PTSD, however you want to say it, because it walks through how-to steps on how to get from train wreck to triumph. And the number one how-to step is forgiveness, is evaluation, of forgiveness. Where are you at? There's a harvest of unforgiveness. There's a very strong reality of unforgiveness. There's a thing it does to your spirit, your mind, your brain, your emotions, your health. They now know the two number one things that make a difference for PTSD people that are experiencing that is forgiveness and is sleep. If you can't sleep deeply, you can't heal deeply. And if you can't forgive, you can't do either one. You're not going to be able to go forward. So the book, first of all, the book's broken down into 4 different sections. One is train wreck, evaluating the train wreck, realizing this was a train wreck, okay? This is just not a challenge. This is a train wreck. I am out of gas. I've got to pull myself off the train wreck, off the rails, because we've become derailed. The keys to what happens a lot of times is first there's distraction, then there's derailment, then there's devastation. And if you don't just look at it and say, I've got to pull this off the track, I've got to take a look at this and pull it off the track, then go into forgiveness. What am I experiencing? If you're experiencing disempowerment, disappointment, distraction, all those discouragement, all those things are lined up with lack of forgiveness. They will become the symptoms of lack of forgiveness. How do people know they're in lack of forgiveness? Number one, they keep telling that he did me wrong song, that she did me wrong song, the same old song over and over, the same old thing. They've got it down. They have it perfect. It's the same story. Then you find out, you notice when they tell it, they have tears. They're still feeling the pain. A woman that gives birth to a baby, she'll talk about the pain. There will be great labor pain. But 20 minutes after that baby is held in her arms, she doesn't remember. She doesn't feel the pain. She remembers, yeah, that hurt, but she doesn't feel the pain. But people that have not forgiven, they're still on the tracks of that debris. They're still in a situation. Part of them is still hurting. When they tell the story about how they were abused, used, betrayed, broken, whatever it is, I've been all of it. I've been all of it. Exactly.
You and me both.
Without forgiveness and releasing judgments on that, you're going to still feel the pain. So we talk about the train wreck.
Forgiveness is a strange word because it's actually, to me, it's asking you to forget stuff or put it in a box. It will come back up. And that drives me crazy. I'm a disabled vet. I'm disabled because of PTSD and severe depression. Mm-hmm. I've managed to get through it, and I'll show you some pictures. That was my brain when I was speaking about 12 to 15 words. The front lobe of my brain was totally fried.
Oh, wow.
And I was very lucky that I had a doctor here in Dallas by the name of Andrew Dossett. He's the Dallas Cowboys, one of the Dallas Cowboys orthopedic surgeons, and he hooked me up with RTMS in California. I went out for six or 8 weeks, I can't remember now, and they did RTMS on me. Well, these are just some of, just to show the audience, this is what it looks like when I couldn't talk to people, and that's what it looked like. They reduced it 85%.
Wow.
With this machine here clicking on my brain. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Can you hear that? That's clicking on my brain for about an hour every day for the 6 to 8 weeks. You're literally sitting there in tears, crying as it's just rolling down because it's just pounding your brain.
Oh my goodness.
I have no idea how that just happened, Max. Sorry. But anyhow, after the first week there, I'm thinking, I might be feeling better. I'm thinking placebo effect, really, in my opinion. Second week, my wife came out. Third week, my mom and dad drove to California, and my dad gets out. The first thing out of his mouth, like, "Holy shit, you're back!" And I'm
Wow.
like, "What do you mean I'm back?" He goes, "Your eyes are on fire like they were before you left for the military." And he goes, "I haven't seen your eyes look this good in years."
That is a big key. Yeah.
And I will tell you, I got a big percentage of my life back. Less depression, most of the PT, I still have it, but that if I can get rid of the anxiety, I probably could clear a lot of it. But it's just a beating. People that live under that, they live under high
tough.
stress. Everything stresses you, and you're on the edge. You're jumpy, and it's hard to live without help. To live that way, and we lose 22 people a day. Veterans that are killing themselves, suicide. And I bring it up at every chance I get. I put it on Facebook right after I came home from California, because I know I have lots of friends in the military, and I know a lot of other people that have been in the military that I know are fighting battles. And I wanted people to start seeing, hey, there is resources and help out there to get better. Will you ever get past it? Probably not, but it won't be as bad as what you're
Well,
living.
you may not feel like you felt before exactly, but you
Right.
may come to the place where you are a better version of, you become a different version of yourself. And not that that's bad. That may be very good. There may be things that aren't challenges that were challenges, because sometimes you become, from what I understand, from what people have told me, and from what I experienced in my own PTSD, was you become elevated to a place where you see life differently. You see life happening here, but some of the things that would have bothered you would have really been challenges. You realize, hey, I'm not messing with that. That's not a challenge. This is something below me. We really have to set above some of the challenges. We have found we've been very grateful for the endorsement by a badge of honor that is a nonprofit that is set up to help first responders and veterans with PTSD.
That's awesome.
And they've endorsed the book as one of the greatest resources. I give all glory to God in this, because it is really the forgiveness and the coaching with life skills and digging deep, going into layers of forgiveness. So at every end of every chapter, every section, every few pages, there's a journal. And the journal is, I'm asking you questions as if I wrote the book, as if I was coaching you, as if I was sitting with a person and coaching them. And they said, well, yeah, I haven't, blah, blah. They're reading. And I'm like, when did you forgive your father? When did you forgive that person who injured you? When did you release
I
that?
still haven't forgiven my father, so
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know
we have
that
work
that
to
ever
do.
will happen.
We have work to do.
I love him.
Yeah.
But I don't know that you ever get over things. I've watched how things happen to other
Right.
family members, and I don't know.
Well, that'll be something, what I say to people.
We'll discuss that after I read.
Yeah,
the book.
discuss it.
Oh, by the way, need 2 signed copies.
Okay.
One for Mac,
Okay.
one for me.
I'll get 'em to you.
Mac's a big reader.
I'll get them to you.
But-
One thing I would say to people in forgiveness, because forgiveness is not easy. It's not it's not easy. It doesn't mean you have to live or you have to accept the treatment. But I will say this for your audience that may be going through something challenging in this way, is for me, I knew it was important to forgive. I'm a preacher's kid. I've been in the ministry. I do marketplace
married to a
ministry.
preacher's kid,
Yeah,
so-
really. We're dangerous.
Hey,
So
it's scary.
so I knew I needed to forgive, but I could not. There was a piece of it I could not. First of all, I could not believe this happened to me. I'd already taken my company public. I had already done a bunch of stuff. And honestly, I could not believe this happened to me. It was like I couldn't fathom for a year. I couldn't fathom this happened to me, because there was some pretty serious stuff that took place. And I knew I needed to forgive. I could not forgive. And this is very important for the audience to hear. I asked God, I cannot forgive I'm trying. I cannot. I understand torment. I would wake up every night in the middle of the night and I would know certain things that had happened that I didn't piece together. I suddenly knew they pieced together because I was out of the trauma enough to relax enough for things, the puzzle pieces to fit. I asked God, if you will forgive through me, I'm available. But I cannot figure this out. And I had forgiven tons of people. I had all of it. And he started forgiving through me. He said, I'm going to show you how to forgive. And this is so important. This is how to forgive. Because some things are unfathomable. Guys in the service and people that have been through some divorces and some difficult things. I mean, some childhood abuse. It's unbelievable. I used to work for with a man who was my client, whose mother had put him in a thing of oil and turned the fire on when he was 2 years old. I mean, his life was every day.
Wow.
So there are things way beyond what I've experienced, and I give honor to those experiences. God showed me this. He said, every day speak out loud, I forgive, his name, and speak blessings over him. If someone wants to know how to forgive and they want to do it quick, it may take a little bit of time, but they're willing to do that. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to even want it. But if you will do that, your mouth controls what happens in your life. If you will ask God to help you forgive and you will say, I forgive so-and-so. I forgive his name, her name. I did this every day. I walked, I would pray and I would walk, and every day when I would walk, I would say, I forgive. Let's say his name was George. It wasn't, but I forgive George. I forgive his girlfriends. I forgive whatever. I forgive. Name the names. Everything has a name. Name, I forgive. Maybe something with the service, whatever it is. Say their name. I speak blessings. I speak fortune. I speak whatever you want to speak. That's good over them. And just do it. Just do
That's
it.
cool that you can do that.
And you will forgive.
I will tell you from my
Yeah.
part, you said something for me. I did forgive my father. It doesn't, but I never really showed back up at home again because him and I were like oil and water. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of abuse through the years, and after the physical abuse, it went mental abuse with everybody, including my
You don't have to
my
include
entire
them in your
family.
life.
No, so I got some help. Went to see a friend or went to see a person in Tyler, Texas, that has access of feeling and seeing visions. Mm-hmm. I thought it was kind of quirky, but I also know a friend that owns one of the largest vitamin health companies out there for horses, and she literally probably speaks those daggum horses. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. But I called her first, and she introduced me this person. She didn't know me from Adam. Get out there with her. First things out of her mouth, she goes, "You were a jaundice baby," and I go, "Okay, this just got really weird." Yes, I was a jaundice baby. She goes, "You had at least 2 or 3 blood transfusions," and yes, I did. And then out of the blue, she goes, "Oh, I'm seeing some weird stuff here with you and your father." She goes, "I can't tell if it's physical or mental. Maybe it's both." But she goes, "Yeah, you and him don't work good together." And I said, "No, you're about right." She knew things about me that it was kind of weird, And I walked out of there with a whole different perception of life. And
Was she a faith-based person?
yes, definitely. And she brought some stuff to light for me that I was able to walk and go, I can forgive. I can do this. And it was a change in life for me. But incredible person. The stuff she knew about me was really scary and eerie. I don't even know how to deal with that. As a matter of fact, if anybody watches this video, I hope the heck they call us, because I'd love to meet some more people like that, to really see things. Cause
I have people in my life like that.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. So, Mac, hey, you're going to have to come back in here for this last question. Okay? Do you mind?
Sure.
You may have to get her off, get her quit choking me out when I ask this question. It's not a bad question. You and I have discussed this before. Conspiracy theorist.
Oh, okay.
I like to have some fun with it because it's, a lot of the conspiracy theorists in the past have come true, especially if it
I'm a
involved.
conspiracy realist.
That's a fair statement.
Anyhow, I told Mac, I said, hey, let's talk conspiracy theorists because she knows some conspiracy theorists, and if you know some, you probably have a few theories yourself, as I do, and Mac does, and we just want to open that up. Tell us some stuff about what conspiracy theories you believe in, and
Tell your favorite one.
yeah, let's go with one and call it favorite. Look, you have so much data. We're gonna have to have you back on the show, okay? Because you're fun.
Okay.
Mac and I could probably sit here and video for days, but I'm not gonna bring you back till I read your book.
Okay. I want you to read the book. I want you to do the
I'm gonna
journal.
bring Mac in. I'm gonna make him read your book
Do
too.
the book. And I want you to read the book, and then I want you to go back and do the journals or do them at the same time. Do the work. Do the stuff. Because especially once then we'll go to your question, especially once you pay attention to the part about truth coaching. I developed a program called Truth Coaching, and it is so magic. It's basically around the truth and releasing the truth that was and replacing it with what you prefer to live your life from this point forward with. And I've literally seen it work on doctors and various other professionals I've taught and coached almost instantaneously. It's like 10 minutes breakthrough. So anyway, I'd love to have your opinion on that.
Well, tell us
theorists.
this conspiracy that your number one.
Oh, geez. I don't even know how to designate.
How about the latest one then?
Well, I'll tell you the one that I think is one of the most important ones, I think, is the key. I'm thrilled, for one thing, to see that a lot of us were called, defamed, ridiculed, blacklisted, and etc. And the people that did that still have not paid the price, the media people, Zuckerberg, and etc. But I will say this. I think that I'm glad to see that the truth is coming out, that science is being able to be exposed. People that, like us, that are faith-based, that believed that there were things going on deeper, prayed for exposure. And right now, we're experiencing in our government, we're experiencing in our world, the outcome of some prayers that has been exposure. There's exposure happening. We would all have to agree that there's exposure happening. I mean, we're seeing exposure.
It's low level right now. I'm ready for them to go.
Oh, yeah, they're
high
happening.
level.
And to your point, the woman that was dealing with you, who was faith-based, was actually very prophetic. She had a prophetic gifting on her for healing. And there are some things that people have seen prophetically. Kim Clement is one of them, Evangelist Kim Clement. They've gone back into the archives. He's passed away now, into his archives, and he has said, on this day you will see this. He predicted something very similar to what happened to our friend Charlie Kirk, and etc. One of my most, the one that triggers me the most because of my experience with COVID is the one with COVID.
Us too.
It's absolutely I don't even know what to say. It is against the American people and the people in the world in general. We were lied to. We were deceived. I personally had COVID. I went into the hospital, and nobody there knew anything about it. I was very early in it. They gave me remdesivir. They didn't give me one shot. They gave me a 10-day, 24-hour drip of remdesivir. Tanked my kidneys, nearly killed me. I nearly died. And I was there in the hospital, Lake Point Hospital, Rockwall, Texas, or wherever, Rowlett or wherever it is. And I was there in the hospital, and I heard people from nursing homes being brought in. They didn't know what they had. They couldn't understand it. They were alone. They died alone, screaming. You could hear it down the hallway. They had no idea what was going on. Then I had 7 specialists. None of them knew what they were doing. One of them I fired because he told me I was a waste of his time, and I said, you need to leave the room and not come back. If you look at one of my files, I will sue you. You need to go. I was that present. I was there 11 days, and then I got out, and I was in a wheelchair and on oxygen. But what I want to say about that, and we can go on to conspiracy, is this. God met me in that place. I'm not turning this into a revival meeting, but I'm
No,
letting
you're
you
good.
know my testimony
It's
is
open.
this.
Let's go.
Is that I had people come in 4 times a day. They would come in, nurses. The doctors would stand against the wall with literally a Disney Daffy Duck hat that they had and a hazmat suit. And that was like, they looked like they were getting ready to go on a spaceship. They would not speak to me from across the room, 12, 15 feet away, without me having a mask on. They was weird. But every day I had people come in who were helping me, serving me, nurses and techs, who said, God told me last night to come in. I would be working with you. And he said the woman I was working with had a calling on her life and to tell her she was going to live and not die. Every single day, 11 days, 4 times a day. At first, the doctors would come in. The doctors, that was the techs, would come in and say, we need you to have your people pray to your God because the only answer for you is you're not going to live. The only answer for you is God. And I said, I will. And I would start ministering to the doctors. Then the people started coming in ministering. One guy was in from Nairobi, was a nurse, was a doctor, and a nurse, and he was a pastor for people from that area. He came in 4 days. He said, God told me I had to be here 4 days because I'm going to tell you some things you need to know, and I'm going to be here 4 days. I'm never here 4 days. I'm only here 1. But he said, for you, I had 4 days. Time after time, they told me that videos were watching, that they had to be very covert, etc. They were never allowed to touch me. Now, you're in a hospital and you think you're dying. You're not allowed to be spoken to be touched, to be talked to. My husband couldn't be there. They took
my 100-year-old or 99-year-old grandmother, 7 or 10 days before her 100th birthday, got put in for COVID. They wouldn't let my mom see her. They wouldn't let my aunt see her. They wouldn't let my uncle see her.
These people died alone, some of them.
100 years old and died by herself.
Yeah. See,
that's
that
unacceptable.
is such an old story. And that they
I got
knew
chill
there
bumps
was
on me.
there was
God.
no reason for that. There was no reason for
My mother
that.
suffered, but she hadn't seen her mother in over a year, and we were all flying down for the 100th birthday, all tickets bought and everything going, and she dies.
Yep. I know of people that have watched their mother through the glass plate window, watched her die. And what is the one thing all the older people, all my parents have ever said, my grandparents, was, don't let me die alone. Don't let me put in a nursing home. Most people didn't want to be in a nursing home. They didn't want to be in a home. So this went on. And I tell you what saved me was I would listen to Terry McCammon worship music. If you don't have that, it takes you from here to there like that. 20 seconds. We listen to it. We turn it on while we're sleeping, and it's going on for 2 hours at night. We want to set our atmosphere with faith. And so I would listen to that. He had a
You need
song.
to cut that ZZ Top off every night, man.
Different faith. He would sing this song, He Restores My Soul. And I would lay with his music all night long, because I had to be awake all night long, because the nurses were coming in always asking me if I'd get the vax. And I always said, no, I'm not going to get the vax. They would come in, give me diabetic meds. I am diabetic, but they would not test my blood sugar and give me insulin that I had never been on, almost killed me, and etc. So I had to stay. Well, you have to, in the hospitals now, I don't care where you are now, in our particular culture, you're going to have to be your own advocate. You're going to have to ask questions.
Definitely, you better.
Or just tell them what to do.
But I'll tell you what happened to me. During COVID, I went through a series of heart attacks.
Oh, wow.
4 or 5 at least. And
I didn't have that, thank God.
The first one, I ended up with a bunch of stents. The second one was bypassed, but right after the first one, they made me get the shot. Told me I couldn't come back to the hospital, so I had to get the first shot. Directly after that, I had another heart attack. This time I'm in bypass surgery. So ripped me in half and did bypass surgery. Doctor's like, you got to have this second or you won't live. So I took the second one. 3 days later, heart attack again, back in the hospital. What they bypassed around had closed, and we had to stent around what they screwed up this time, and here I am, I'm still ticking, but had I not taken that second one, maybe not, I shouldn't have taken either, But had I not taken that second one, I probably wouldn't have had the next 3 heart attacks.
Probably not.
And that's what threw me off and really started going, we got problems in this country.